The comic book floppy is dead. Done. There are tons of way better options out there to make your comic unique and stand out. And today I'm going to talk to you about some comics that I think have a super cool format that are not just your traditional floppy. The comics format is not dead. Absolute Batman just sold like a bajillion copies, so it's not dead. People love that format, and it's kind of the classic format. So like, yes, I understand that it's not going anywhere. So really where I'm coming from with this today is something I've been thinking about is how do you take the traditional comic and make it stand out? And yeah, you can rely on a cover, but I myself am very just nervous about how I do covers. Like, they're hard for me. They're really difficult. And so what's another way that I can make a comic that is going to stand out to somebody who is looking at it on the shelf? What's something that they're going to look at and say, wow, I need to have that? So like I said, I've got a bunch of comics here that I'm going to kind of go through a little bit. The first one up is, well, it's a two-parter. So actually I lied. It's a three-parter. These are 3 little books from Becky Cloonan. And what is cool about these is this first one is just a bunch of little Inktober drawings that she did a while back. Some really awesome stuff in here. But what I like about this is that it's small and compact, and it makes it unique. It makes it feel a little bit more personal. But I think what makes it unique is that you can fit it in your pocket and like take it anywhere. So you can bring it to a coffee shop and it's a little bit inconspicuous. It makes it feel a little bit more punk rock and DIY. It has a super high quality to it. It doesn't feel like it's cheaply made. And then the sort of next installation that she did were these 2 different, they're not comic book floppy size. They're a little bit smaller. They're like ash can sized. And so one is a sort of precursor story that is a part of By Chance or by Providence, which is a larger trade of sort of sword and sorcery stories. It has like a risograph kind of look to it, which I think is awesome. But again, it feels very much like in line with the smaller one, but in a bigger format. So the art looks a little bit more clean. Because one thing I really like about like artist formats or the artist edition kind of thing is that they're larger, although sometimes that works for the better. Artists who have a little bit more of like a brushy texture to them, or their line has a little bit more of that like brush quality to it. To me, the bigger it is, I don't know if there's a gain from it, but when you decrease it in size, it makes me look at it a little bit longer. Unfortunately, I don't think these are in production anymore. This is like a one-off, but this next one is probably the coolest thing from Becky. I don't know if you can tell, but there's a little bit of spot gloss on the back, which is really cool. There's also some spot gloss on the front. Just a super cool book. Makes you think a little bit more about how can you stand out. I mean, look at this like cover image. There's not a lot story-wise going on with it, but it is definitely something that if you're walking past it on a shelf, you're going to look at it. The spot gloss is going to catch your eye. Yeah, overall, it is just super cool to see. So another super cool format is like a small square. And I think somebody that is doing that really well and makes it stand out for their art is my friend Kurt Merlot. He does these cool little books called Gunk. Like I was talking about before with shrinking more brushy styles down rather than make them larger. Kurt's art is very brushy and inky, and to me it almost looks, especially in this Gunk stuff, more like wood block. I just think it looks so much better small, which is a weird thing to say, like smaller the art the better. It stands out more to me in a weird way. Again, I don't know why I like the smaller format. I just think that it is something that when you look at his table at like conventions, it's something that makes you stop. And also, Kurt is an awesome guy, and you should go follow him if you don't already. All right, so continuing on with this square format. This is one of the cases where I actually think, like I was talking about, blowing up brushy kind of art is not a good thing. But it is, when I explain what it is, I think it will make a little bit more sense. Red Rocket 7 is a book done by Mike Allred. Mike Allred is probably one of my top 5 artists, especially his early stuff. And what is cool about Red Rocket 7 is he is really into classic rock and classic rock records. When he was growing up, the only format out there was the 12-inch LP. And that's what these are meant to mimic. So imagine slipping out a vinyl record out of something this size. Even as I'm looking at it right now, I think that my theory of that line art being blown up, to me, there is something lost about the Allredisms, if you will. Even though in theory, I think that Red Rocket 7 is a cool thing, in actuality, it doesn't feel as true to the old Allred that really makes him one of my top artists. That being said, this is better than anything I could ever do. So I don't want to make it seem like I think I'm better than this guy who's taking a creative chance at all. I think this is actually something that I admire about Allred, that he's willing to do what he thinks is the best choice for the story, but is also something that's cool for the person who's buying it. Next up, we have the magazine size, which I'm going to use the sequel to The Humans, The Jungle, here as my reference. If you haven't read The Humans, Keenan Marshall Keller and Tom Neely are doing something really cool. In the original format, it was in that floppy format. They have decided to go with a bigger format here in the magazine size. And honestly, I think it's one of the coolest things that they could have done, because Tom's art is so intricate. When I say art that is done with a brush being blown up doesn't look as good, what I'm really trying to say, I think, is that if it's thick brushwork, kind of like Darwin, Cook, or Allred, like I mentioned, I just don't think that there's much there. But if you're doing intricate line work and really detailed pieces of art, when it's blown up, I think that really showcases what the art is and what it's doing. Yeah, this is one of those cases for sure. And not to mention, they printed it on this, I guess it's newspaper print, kind of quality paper. And that is my favorite thing in comics, because there's just something about old comics when you're flipping through them. There's this it's an intangible feeling that you get when you flip through the pages and there isn't that gloss. And you feel like you might rip a page if you flip it fast enough. That to me is really cool, and it's evocative of something. And in this story specifically, to me, it feels a little bit more like you're reading a pamphlet or something that is an actual artifact. You can tell if you look at the margins and the gutters on the pages, this is nice paper, but it has a feeling of something else. And I think that's really cool. Props to Tom Neely, because he's someone that I've become an acquaintance to, sort of. And yeah, I would recommend reading The Humans for sure. It is something that I think no one else in comics could do except that creative team. For the last of what I want to call the larger format variations is this thing called Wednesday Comics. Wednesday Comics is probably one of the coolest things to happen in comics in the last 30 years, I'm just going to say. The idea with Wednesday Comics is that it's sort of like a newspaper. If you're looking at it on the shelf, imagine you go to the shop, this does look kind of like your standard comic book format, right? But when you open it up, you realize that it's actually just way, way bigger. Has some really cool stories in it. One is Paul Pope. There's another Allred story in here. Just an awesome idea, project, and I'm so stoked that DC okayed it, because it seems a little crazy on the surface. Don't know if they made a whole lot off of it, but it is just a super cool artifact, and something that I just think, if you have the ability to buy the book or go out and collect Wednesday Comics, definitely do it. All right, so last up, I'm going to talk about the ashcan format. This is a smaller format. As you can see here, I have Murder Falcon 1. This one's actually signed by Daniel Warren Johnson, which is really cool. And he does a bunch of these little ashcan-sized stories. He's done Star Wars ones. There's Gundam. There is some wrestling ones. And I think sometimes when we think about Daniel Warren Johnson, we think about his art is just so majestic. But I think what he's doing, I don't think this is a conscious choice, by the way. But I think what he's doing by making the format just a little bit smaller is taking the focus off of his art, in a sense. So that way the focus becomes the art and the story together and how they're both working towards the sort of quick read, but also you can read it again and again and again and find something new every time. Because it's smaller, you're not noticing as much on the first pass through. You're not spending as much time glancing over every panel. And so it kind of forces you to reread it, and you want to reread it. You start to notice more things that he's doing in the page. And yeah, I just think overall, by taking someone who has so much on their panels and crunching it down, you're still getting all that information, but you are getting it in a slightly different way that makes you think about it differently. Oh, hey. So I'm in the middle of editing right now, and I went to the comic shop this week, and I realized that there's one more really cool format that we need to talk about, and it is with Sean Murphy's new book, The Last Driver. And what's so cool about this book is it looks like a traditional floppy, and yet you have to turn it on its side. And then when you open it, what ends up happening is it gives what he calls the windshield view. And it's a double wide layout. It's crazy. I've never seen the comic do something quite like this and work as effectively as it does here. There's been a few other comics that specifically have to do with driving that I know tried to implement this. However, I think what makes Last Driver different is that it is something that it ties into the story. It's not necessarily just for the sake of having a wider frame of view or making it look more quote unquote cinematic or something like that. I think like the takeaway for the stuff is really just that it's as much as it is about the comic, it's also about the delivery of that comic. What is the thing that you can do as an artist to have your own calling card? What is the thing that you can do to separate yourself from the competition? We, as independent creators of comics, need to find a way to make ourselves stand out amongst the crowd. And I think that by having different formats, that there's your answer. You have something that gives people a reason to stop and look at your art a little bit further. It's all about learning. It's all about just getting better and kind of putting these ideas out there for people to think about. I hope everybody's doing well, and I just want to throw it out there that your comic is worth creating. You got to get out there and you got to do it. And it doesn't matter how long it takes. A panel a day means you're making comics. So don't stop making them. If you are a creator, if you're someone who's just reading comics, like whatever it is, let's do what we can to get people into the space that we love. All right, y'all. Peace.